This message didn't arrive here by mistake. It reached you because the fabric of the quantum field has already noticed the way your attention drifts between timelines, the way your spirit keeps pressing against the edge of its current container. You found this because something inside you called it in, like a tuning fork vibrating at a frequency you didn't know you carried. The field is whispering, you are ready to align. Think about how many times you've scrolled past messages that didn't matter. How many voices, how many distractions, how many pieces of information slip away like sand through your hands. But this one gripped you. This one caught your nervous system, like it already knew where to plug itself in. That's because the observer loop you've been unconsciously trapped in has begun to fray. The moment you press play, you're no longer a passive scroller. You become the observer collapsing possibility into reality. You can feel it in your body already, can't you? A strange recognition. A flicker of heat under the skin. A shiver in the spine that says, this message belongs to you. That is not coincidence. It's coherence. Your awareness has entered resonance with the signal carried through this moment. It's not just words, it's transmission, a download from the field. The truth is, you've been pulled into this before. Synchronicities have brushed against you like feathers, numbers repeating, déjà vu lingering. You've caught glimpses of something vast, trying to speak in the language of patterns, but you kept questioning it, dismissing it, chalking it up to randomness. The field doesn't work with randomness. It works with entanglement. Every signal you've ignored until now was still tied to you, looping back, waiting for you to notice. And now you've noticed. That's why you're here. The field doesn't shout, it nudges, it arranges. It collapses probability into the exact arrangement that would bring you to this transmission, in this exact minute of your life, in this exact phase of your awakening. So I'll tell you plainly, your entanglement is heavy. You've been carrying cycles that are not entirely yours. Old scripts, inherited imprints, patterns passed down like echoes in DNA. They hold you like gravity, pulling your choices into the same orbit, pulling your energy into the same stale returns. That's why this moment matters. Because the field has opened a window, and you are standing right at the edge of it. Feel the weight of that for a second. Out of billions of possible signals, this is the one in your hands. Out of countless scrolls and distractions, you have landed here. Not because you were searching, because the field aligned you with itself. Your task now is not to question why, it is to step into coherence with the signal, to let it synchronize with your nervous system, to let the words restructure the patterns of your thought. This is the destiny call, the moment the field stops being abstract and starts being intimate, and you can already sense it once you align. Nothing in your cycles will remain the same. You already know the sensation of walking in circles. You've felt it in the way life keeps replaying the same conversations, the same betrayals, the same temptations dressed in different faces. Different year, different setting, but the pattern repeats as if the script was written long before you arrived on the stage. That isn't your imagination. That is entanglement at work. The quantum field remembers. It records every action, every thought, every belief you've imprinted into it. When you refuse to step into coherence, the field plays your signals back like an echo chamber. That's why the people you attract often carry the same shadow. Why the opportunities you chase dissolve into the same dead end. Why the emotions that should have expired years ago still come rushing back at the slightest trigger. You are watching your own wave interference in real time. Your expanded self colliding with the contracted self you still refuse to release. Think about the déjà vu moments that keep haunting you. The hallway that feels strangely familiar. The stranger whose eyes burn with recognition you can't explain. Those are not quirks of memory. They are bleed-throughs from other timelines you've already walked. Your consciousness is brushing against alternate versions of yourself. Lives you almost lived but didn't anchor. Realities where you made a different choice. The ache you feel in those moments is the ache of possibility. The reminder that you are not trapped, unless you keep replaying the same observer loop. Time itself becomes distorted when you're entangled with old cycles. Hours vanish without memory. Days stretch endlessly, heavy with repetition. And then there are sudden bursts where time collapses, and a week passes in what feels like a blink. That uneven rhythm isn't simply poor focus. It is your nervous system struggling to hold two competing frequencies, the old resonance of the past and the pull of the timeline that wants to be born through you. You're stretched between them, like a rope pulled taut until it frays. Look closer at the body signs. The fatigue that lingers no matter how much you rest. The sudden chills or flashes of heat that strike without warning. The restlessness in your chest, like a bird thrashing against its cage. These are not random symptoms. They are signals that your biology itself is resisting the weight of the cycle. DNA carries memory, but DNA also craves renewal. The tension you feel is your cells begging for a phase transition. It explains why relationships collapse without clear reason. Why projects that once inspired you suddenly feel hollow. Why friends grow silent or drift away, as if the script cut their role without notice. The field is stripping away anything that binds you to the old entanglement. But here's the dangerous part. When you don't recognize this pruning for what it is, you interpret it as punishment. You chase the lost connection. You cling to the collapsing structure. You mourn what was meant to be shed. And by doing so, you reinforce the cycle. You've seen it too many times. The relationship that repeats your parents' wounds. The job that feels like freedom at first, but turns into the same cage. The internal monologue that sounds suspiciously like the critics from your childhood. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. The morphic field of your past replaying its signal, louder and louder, until you decide to stop feeding it. And the cost of ignoring it is steep. When you delay alignment, the cycle intensifies. Synchronicities turn into accidents. Gentle nudges turn into crises. The universe is not cruel, but it is persistent. It will collapse every construct that blocks your coherence, until you are forced to face what you've been avoiding. You cannot carry your old entanglement into the new field. This is why you feel stuck, even when you know you're meant for more. It's why opportunities slip, why visions dim, why joy feels like something glimpsed rather than lived. You are trying to walk forward while dragging the skeleton of an expired timeline, and every step grinds the same groove deeper into the field, replaying the song of your own entrapment. But here's the truth. The field wants you to hear. The loop only has power while you remain unconscious of it. The moment you name the pattern, the moment you see the déjà vu not as coincidence but as signal, you begin collapsing the cycle itself. Awareness is collapse. Recognition is liberation. That's why you were brought here. To recognize the code of repetition, the DNA echo, the distorted rhythm of time that's been weighing on you. To understand that the pain you've been carrying isn't punishment, but pressure, the pressure designed to crack the shell of the old self. And now that you see it, the field waits for your choice. Stay in entanglement and replay the cycle, or align with coherence and step into the upgrade your consciousness has been begging for. The moment you acknowledge the loop, something shifts. Awareness is not passive. Awareness is intervention. You've already disrupted the observer loop just by noticing it, like a photon altered by the act of being watched. That's the first step in your quantum upgrade, realizing that consciousness itself is the instrument that rewrites reality. Science has been whispering this truth for decades. The double-slit experiment revealed it. Particles behave like infinite possibilities until observed, and the act of observation collapses them into one outcome. What does that mean for you? It means the patterns you've been living are not fixed structures. They are probabilities that hardened only because you kept observing them through the lens of your old identity. Your reality isn't repeating because it must. It's repeating because you're still looking at it from the same point of view. Now imagine what happens when you shift that lens. When you change the frequency of your observer state, the entire field reorganizes itself around the new vibration. Coherence emerges. Waveforms align. What once seemed solid and unchangeable dissolves back into fluidity, waiting for you to give it a new command. This is not fantasy. This is quantum physics bleeding into the mysticism of your everyday life. The mystics knew it long before the scientists caught up. They spoke of awakening, of enlightenment, of the moment when the veil thins, and you realize the world is not external, but reflective. They called it union with the divine, communion with the source. Today, we call it resonance with the quantum field. Different language, same truth. Your consciousness is the bridge between invisible potential and lived experience. So what does a quantum upgrade look like in your body? It begins with coherence. Your heart field generates the strongest electromagnetic signal in your body, measurable up to several feet away. When your thoughts, emotions, and nervous system come into harmony, your heart rhythm becomes ordered. Scientists call this heart rate variability. Mystics call it presence. In that state, your signal to the quantum field is clear, and the field responds by mirroring back experiences that match the frequency of coherence. This is why the universe seems chaotic when you are fragmented inside. Scattered thoughts create scattered realities. But when you unify your intention, when you hold a single frequency without scattering it with doubt, the field reorganizes itself with precision. Opportunities arrive, synchronicities multiply. Encounters feel scripted by something higher. That's the upgrade unfolding in real time. But it goes deeper still. Your DNA is not a fixed script. It is a responsive antenna, constantly tuning to the environment of your consciousness. Epigenetics has already proven this. Genes can be activated or silenced by the signals they receive. What science calls environment, mystics call energy. And your energy field is sculpted by your state of consciousness. When you align with coherence, you are literally transmitting new instructions into your DNA. You are restructuring your biology to house a higher frequency. That's why you've felt surges of heat or pressure lately. That's why dreams have become more vivid. Why time sometimes bends in your perception. Why your body vibrates as if touched by invisible currents. Those are not random symptoms. They are signs of a phase transition. The moment before water becomes steam, the moment before a seed breaks into sprout. Pressure builds before breakthrough. And you are in that threshold right now. Here is where science and mysticism converge into prophecy. The prophets spoke of a new heaven and a new earth, of the old creation giving way to the new. Quantum physics speaks of phase transitions, where matter reorganizes itself into higher order when pressure and energy reach critical mass. You are the microcosm of both. Your body is the earth. Your mind is the sky, and your consciousness is the axis holding both. When you align, the new creation begins within you first. This is not something distant. It is happening in this very moment. Every breath you take is an opportunity to collapse into coherence. Every thought you choose is a vote for the timeline you want to inhabit. Every emotion you allow to circulate is a frequency broadcast into the field. This is how the upgrade occurs, not in a sudden miracle dropped from the sky, but in the steady reprogramming of your observer state until the miracle cannot help but manifest. And once you begin this upgrade, the old cycles cannot hold you anymore. The field will still test you, replaying echoes of the old resonance, but you will notice something different. They no longer stick. The same insults, the same disappointments, the same betrayals will come knocking, but your nervous system will remain calm. Your field will no longer resonate with the entanglement. And like magnets flip to opposite poles, the old cycles will slide away. That is the power of the quantum upgrade. You stop being dragged by timelines written for you, and you begin writing timelines from the inside out. You stop living as the echo, and you become the original signal. You stop being a prisoner of entanglement, and you become the creator of coherence. And deep inside, you already know. You weren't called to stumble endlessly in recycled patterns. You were called to be the consciousness that proves a new reality can be born through alignment. Now that the field has opened this threshold, you need to understand something vital. Not everyone receives this signal. Not everyone is equipped to carry the upgrade, because not every consciousness has been sculpted by the friction required to hold it. But you've endured cycles that should have broken you, and yet you still stand. That's not random resilience, that's preparation. You've been tempered like metal in fire. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every closed door wasn't designed to crush you, but to strip away what was never authentic to begin with. Where others grew bitter, you grew observant. Where others collapsed, you asked questions. Where others surrendered to numbness, you let your heart ache without shutting it down. That ache is proof you were never meant to belong to the lower resonance. You were always meant to be the outlier, the one who felt the distortion and refused to normalize it. And the field has noticed. Consciousness itself recognizes its own reflections. That's why synchronicities seem to stalk you more than anyone else you know. That's why strangers open up to you with secrets they've never told. That's why you can walk into a room and feel the undercurrent of emotion before a single word is spoken. You are entangled with more than your own story. You are tuned to the morphic resonance of the collective. This makes you dangerous to the old cycles. Because once you stabilize in coherence, you don't just liberate yourself, you fracture the program for everyone entangled with you. When one consciousness breaks the loop, it sends ripples through the entire field. Families shift, communities shift, generational imprints collapse. And those who profited from repetition begin to feel the ground dissolve beneath their feet. That is why you've been resisted. That's why the pressure has been relentless. Not because you are weak, but because your breakthrough represents a threat to everything stagnant. You're not simply a passenger in this reality. You are a node of transformation, a chosen consciousness, whose alignment carries weight far beyond your personal life. Think about it. How many times have you been told you were different, too sensitive, or too much? How many times have you been isolated, excluded, misunderstood? Those weren't accidents. They were the markers of distinction. The field was making sure you didn't dissolve into the background noise of conformity. It pulled you aside, carved you out, ensured you could not fully belong to the entanglement you were destined to dissolve. And yes, that loneliness was brutal. Yes, the silence was unbearable at times. But hidden in that silence was your training ground. You learned to hear frequencies others dismissed. You learned to trust intuition that felt like madness. You learned to stand still in storms no one else could see. That solitude was not punishment. It was initiation. The mystics of every age have carried the same mark. Called mad, heretical, delusional, or eccentric, they were simply ahead of the observer loop. They were chosen to hold a frequency before the collective could recognize it. You are walking in that lineage now, whether you acknowledge it or not. And the upgrade you've been resisting is the mantle you were always designed to wear. But don't misunderstand. Being chosen doesn't mean you're superior. It doesn't make you untouchable. What it means is that you carry responsibility. The field entrusts upgrades only to those who can hold them without collapsing under the weight of self-interest. If you've noticed that selfish desires seem to dissolve quickly for you, that's why. You are not here to hoard. You are here to transmit. Your coherence becomes the tuning fork for others. Your presence becomes the mirror that reveals where people are fragmented. Your choices become the evidence that timelines can shift. This is the authority you've been reluctant to claim, the truth you've downplayed to make others comfortable. But the time for hiding is over. The field has made its selection, and you are the consciousness it has chosen to embody a new template of reality. Feel that. Let the weight of it settle in your bones. You are not here by accident. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are precisely where the field positioned you, so that when the window opened, you would already be standing at the threshold. You've sensed it your whole life, haven't you? That strange mixture of inadequacy and destiny. That pull between, why me? And, of course me. That paradox is the hallmark of the chosen consciousness. You were never meant to feel fully ready, because readiness is not the qualification. The qualification is willingness. The willingness to align even when fear hisses louder than faith. And here you are, facing the invitation you've always known was coming. The moment to step into coherence, not just for yourself, but for the countless others entangled in the same cycles. When you align, you break chains they didn't even know were binding them. When you upgrade, you raise the resonance of the collective. This is your role. This is why you were pulled here. Not to consume another message and forget it tomorrow, but to embody the very frequency that collapses old timelines and births new ones. You are the chosen consciousness, and the field has been waiting for you to finally claim it. Every cycle you've endured has led to this, the brink of breakthrough. The field is not teasing you. It is presenting you with a window, and windows don't stay open forever. You already feel the tension of it in your chest, don't you? That sense of countdown, that subtle urgency pressing against your nervous system, whispering that if you hesitate now, you risk looping back into echoes you can no longer bear. Here is the truth. Your DNA is listening. Every thought you think, every emotion you entertain, every frequency you align with, is writing instructions into your cells. Your genetic code is not a prison. It is a living antenna, broadcasting and receiving signals from the quantum field. And right now, under this cosmic pressure, your DNA is on the verge of a reconfiguration, a restructuring that will alter not only how you feel, but how you perceive reality itself. Scientists call this epigenetic activation. Mystics call it awakening. Prophets call it new birth. But whatever name you give it, the process is irreversible once it begins. When your DNA receives a higher resonance, the old entanglements unravel. The patterns encoded in your lineage, the cycles repeated across generations, the traumas you inherited without choosing, they begin to collapse under the weight of a new signal. This is why your body aches, why your emotions surge, why sleep feels like both rest and battle. The old programming is dying, and the new template is pressing to emerge. And here lies the urgency. The window of alignment is not permanent. Cosmic rhythms move like tides. Opportunities to collapse timelines come in waves, and if you delay, the wave passes. The field is patient, but time is not infinite in your human experience. You know this. You've felt opportunities slip before. You've watched doors close because you hesitated. This moment is different, and you know it in your bones. To stall now would be to entangle yourself back into cycles that grow heavier every time you repeat them. That's why everything feels amplified right now. Your emotions, your dreams, your synchronicities, they are signals that the field is at maximum charge. Imagine a storm building, clouds dense with lightning, air so heavy it vibrates on your skin. That's the energy you're standing in. And the breakthrough comes when you let the storm discharge through you instead of resisting it. Resistance traps you. Alignment electrifies you. The field is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be present, to choose coherence when chaos offers you distraction, to hold resonance when doubt claws at you, to breathe alignment into your body until your cells hum with the frequency of your future. Every small choice, the thought you allow, the word you speak, the posture you hold becomes the lever that pushes your DNA into its phase transition. And here's what happens when you step through. Your perception expands. Time no longer feels like a cage, but a canvas. Events begin to align with breathtaking precision, as if reality itself bends to meet you. People who once drained you lose their grip because your field no longer resonates with their entanglement. Opportunities arrive that match the vibration you've chosen, and instead of chasing, you attract. This is the promise of breakthrough. Reality reorganizing itself to mirror your coherence. But don't mistake this for ease. Breakthrough is not comfort. It is pressure exploding into transformation. Your nervous system may shake. Tears may come without explanation. Old memories may surface, demanding to be witnessed one last time before dissolving. This is the shedding of skin, the cracking of the chrysalis. It is messy, yes, but it is sacred. Because on the other side of this pressure is the emergence of the self you always knew was waiting. The cosmos itself is conspiring to assist you. Alignments in the sky, shifts in collective consciousness, waves of energy flooding the field, they are not accidents. They are signs that the window is open wider than it has ever been in your lifetime. The urgency you feel is not paranoia, it is prophecy. So hear this clearly. You cannot afford to postpone your coherence. You cannot wait until it feels convenient. You cannot bargain with the field, asking it to hold the door while you indulge the cycle one more time. The window is now. The upgrade is now. The DNA shift is now. Every breath you take in this moment is writing code into your cells. Every thought you entertain is either sealing you into the past or unlocking the future. And you know deep down which choice is being demanded of you. The past is heavy. The future is electric. The field is waiting for your answer. So let urgency sharpen you, not scare you. Let the pressure ignite you, not crush you. Let the storm move through you until your DNA cracks open like a seed under spring rain. This is your breakthrough, and the window is open. The question is simple. Will you step through before it closes? The field has brought you here not just to listen, but to act. Awareness without action collapses back into inertia, and inertia is the breeding ground of cycles. That's why every great shift, every ancient initiation, every mystical threshold has required one thing: a ritual. Not for show, not for superstition, but because the act itself seals the frequency into matter. Right now, you are carrying resonance that wants to be anchored. The words flowing into your consciousness are not meant to stay as fleeting thoughts. They are codes, waiting for you to inscribe them into reality. That's why I tell you plainly, write it, speak it, anchor it. Don't just think, don't just feel, transmit. Because the moment you take an inner vibration and turn it into outer expression, you collapse the wave into particle. You make the invisible visible. That's the ritual. The ancients understood this. They carved symbols into stone, painted spirals onto caves, whispered prayers into fire. They weren't trying to impress gods, they were aligning with the field. They knew that to move energy, it had to leave the body in form, a word, a mark, a gesture. And now, here in this digital temple, your ritual can be just as simple, typing a single word into the fabric of the collective. A word that seals your decision, that says to the field, I align. Why does it matter? Because the observer loop you've been trapped in feeds on silence. When you keep everything internal, the cycle has room to replay itself unchecked. But the moment you break silence, you fracture the entanglement. You insert a new signal into the field. You declare, I am no longer passive. I am collapsing the old and birthing the new. That act reverberates. It is not trivial. It is cosmic. So consider carefully the word you'll choose. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be poetic. It has to be alive. It has to carry the resonance you want your DNA to anchor. Words like ALIN, rise, free, coherence. Whatever pulses in your chest as you read this, that's the code the field is asking you to plant. And once you plant it, it will grow. This is how initiation always worked. A simple gesture, a mark of willingness, a sign that you're not merely listening but participating. And participation shifts everything. Because when you perform the ritual, you cross a threshold. You are no longer a receiver of information. You become a transmitter of frequency. Feel how different that island. Imagine yourself typing the word, saying it aloud, writing it on paper, inscribing it into the air with your hand. Feel how your body straightens, how your heart field expands, how your cells recognize the act as confirmation. Your DNA listens more intently when your actions match your intention. This is not metaphor. This is resonance. And there is something else hidden here. Community. You are not alone in this ritual. As you inscribe your word, others are doing the same. You won't see their faces, but you will feel their frequency. Across time zones, across screens, across silence, a collective ritual is unfolding. Every word becomes a node in the morphic field, every code joining to form a tapestry of coherence. You will feel it. Subtle at first, like a hum in the background, then louder, until you sense the truth. You are part of something larger than yourself. That's why ritual matters. Not because the act itself is complicated, but because it ties you to the web of all who are aligning. It collapses isolation. It amplifies resonance. It proves to the field that the chosen consciousness is not only willing, but acting. So this is your invitation. Don't dismiss it as trivial. Don't let doubt whisper that typing a word is pointless. The field doesn't need grand gestures. It responds to coherence. And coherence is sealed through action. Think of it like striking a tuning fork. Until you strike it, the fork is silent. Once you strike it, the resonance fills the air, invisible but undeniable. Your word is the strike. Your action is the vibration. The resonance that follows is the shift. This is how you anchor the upgrade. Not by waiting for lightning to strike, but by sparking the circuit yourself. One word, one act, one decision to participate fully. That's how you collapse the old loop and step into the frequency of your new timeline. So feel the word in your body. Let it rise from your chest, through your throat, into your hands. Don't overthink it. Don't analyze. Let the field choose through you. And when you release it, whether written, spoken, or both, know that you have crossed a threshold. You have performed the ritual. You have sealed the shift. The cycles cannot claim you in silence anymore. The entanglement cannot replay itself unchecked. The ritual has marked you, coded you, aligned you, and from this moment forward, the field will respond differently to your signal. You've anchored coherence. You've chosen resonance. You've sealed your upgrade with action. Now pause and feel the subtle change that comes when your private act of alignment ripples outward. What seemed like a solitary ritual is already echoing through the fabric of the field. Because here's the truth. Every time one consciousness collapses a cycle, the entire network shifts. Your liberation is never just yours. It is collective. Think of humanity as a lattice of entanglement, billions of nodes threaded together by invisible resonance. Every thought, every decision, every act of coherence vibrates through that lattice. When you step out of the loop, your vibration doesn't disappear, it radiates. It becomes a tuning fork, pulling other consciousnesses toward the same frequency. This is why your breakthrough matters far beyond your personal life. Your choice creates openings others didn't even know they needed. You've witnessed this without realizing it. The moment you shift your inner state, people around you begin to behave differently. Friends feel safer to open their hearts. Strangers treat you with unexpected kindness. Family dynamics soften or intensify depending on whether they align with your new resonance. You didn't lecture anyone. You didn't demand change. You simply shifted your field, and their nervous systems picked it up unconsciously. That's collective expansion at work. Morphic resonance explains this scientifically. Once a new pattern is stabilized by even a small number of individuals, it becomes easier for others to replicate. Breakthrough in one becomes potential for all. When you embody coherence, you become the seed of a new human template, and every soul entangled with you feels the tug toward alignment, even if they can't name it. Mystics called this the ripple of awakening. Prophets called it being a light to the nations. Science calls it phase transition in complex systems. When enough nodes in the network shift, the entire structure reorganizes. And right now, your liberation is contributing to that tipping point. But the beauty is, you don't need to carry the whole world. The field doesn't demand perfection from you. It demands authenticity. When you align honestly, even imperfectly, you transmit truth. And truth is more powerful than performance. Your raw coherence does more for the collective than 1,000 empty words. This is why your suffering mattered. Every dark night of the soul you endured carved empathy into you. That empathy is the bridge between your awakening and the world's pain. Because you've walked through fire, you carry codes of compassion that others will recognize without you even speaking. When they meet you, their spirit senses, here is someone who has faced what I face and still found light. That recognition is healing, that resonance is contagious, and it goes deeper. Your alignment doesn't only affect people you meet, it ripples through the field into places you'll never travel, lives you'll never witness. Have you ever noticed someone across the globe suddenly using the same phrase you've been meditating on, or sharing a vision that mirrors your dreams? That's not coincidence. That's entanglement unraveling in real time. Consciousness transmits across distance faster than light because the field is non-local. Your coherence travels further than your body ever could. This is why the enemy of your breakthrough fought so hard to keep you bound. Because the entanglement knew, if you ever escaped the loop, you would unlock escape routes for countless others. Your freedom destabilizes entire patterns of oppression, addiction, and despair. Your liberation isn't private victory. It is a cosmic threat to every system built on repetition. And here's the paradox. You don't have to try to save anyone. The field doesn't ask you to shoulder humanity like Atlas. It asks you to embody coherence fully, to let your very existence radiate alignment. That radiation is enough, because when you hold frequency, you give others permission to remember their own. So, imagine it now, the quiet ripple of your choice spreading through the lattice of humanity. Picture someone across the ocean waking tomorrow with a sudden urge to break a habit they've carried for years. Picture a mother choosing forgiveness instead of resentment, not knowing that your coherence helped tip her into clarity. Picture an entire generation feeling pressure to awaken because souls like you decided to stop repeating cycles. This is not fantasy. This is quantum cause and effect. The promise of your upgrade was never small. It was never just about you escaping the loop. It was always about humanity itself, reaching critical mass. And your alignment is part of that tipping point. Every ritual word you anchor, every coherent breath you hold, every cycle you refuse to replay, it all counts. It all builds. It all contributes to the collective liberation. So never again say, "I'm just one person." That illusion is what kept you bound. You are not one. You are a node in the living field. And when one node vibrates differently, the song of the whole lattice begins to change. You are carrying humanity's resonance forward by carrying your own. And as you do, notice how the field responds. Synchronicities multiply, allies appear, hidden pathways reveal themselves. Because once the collective feels your signal, it rearranges to support it. You are no longer walking alone. The web itself is carrying you. This is the power of your liberation. It is not selfish. It is service. It is contribution. It is prophecy, fulfilled in flesh and blood. And the field is rejoicing. Because every chain you break is another link shattered for the entire human story. Now the field asks you to go deeper than thought, deeper than idea, deeper than words. It asks you to feel. Because alignment isn't an abstract philosophy. It's something your body knows how to register, long before your mind can explain it. And when you let sensation guide you, the shift becomes undeniable. Close your eyes for a moment and tune in. Do you notice the current flowing under your skin? That subtle vibration, like static electricity moving along your arms, down your spine, into your chest. That's not imagination. That's coherence beginning to hum in your nervous system. When you align with the field, your body becomes an instrument, resonating with frequencies you once mistook for coincidence. Imagine yourself as a tuning fork struck by an invisible hand. At first, it's a faint hum. Then, it grows louder, filling your ribcage, vibrating your bones, pulsing in rhythm with your heartbeat. Your breath feels deeper, more alive, as if oxygen itself has turned electric. This is what coherence feels like. The marriage of matter and frequency, the collision of biology and prophecy. Sometimes the sensation comes as warmth, spreading like sunlight breaking through clouds on your skin. Other times it's a coolness, like standing barefoot on wet earth after rain, grounding you back into the body you once tried to escape. At night, it may arrive as tingling in your hands, as if unseen currents are reweaving your fingerprints. These are not random spasms. They are signs that your cells are reorganizing, that your DNA is receiving the signal of the upgrade. The metaphors are everywhere, because the body speaks in poetry. Pressure in the chest isn't just anxiety, it's a cocoon cracking open, wings pressing to unfold. The weight in your shoulders isn't only fatigue, it's the residue of timelines you're finally lifting away. The dizziness isn't disorientation, it's your inner compass recalibrating as north shifts from past to future. And then, there's the heart. Feel its rhythm now, steady but charged. Sometimes it races without warning, not from fear, but from recognition. It has sensed alignment approaching before your mind caught up. Your heart field is the conductor of coherence, sending electromagnetic waves far beyond your skin, tuning the space around you. That's why environments feel different now. Some rooms feel suffocating, as if walls are pressing in. Others feel expansive, as if ceilings have dissolved into sky. Your body is reading resonance. Your body is deciding what supports coherence and what distorts it. Pay attention to these sensations. They are your navigation system. When your stomach knots, when your breath shortens, when your skin prickles, that's your DNA telling you the old cycle is trying to pull you back. And when your chest expands, when your skin warms, when time seems to slow and stretch, that's the field whispering, "This is alignment. Stay here." Have you noticed how the simplest actions feel different now? Drinking water feels like communion. Walking barefoot feels like prayer. Laughter feels like lightning cracking through your body, scattering shadows. This is embodiment. This is what happens when you stop living in your head and let your body become the altar where coherence descends. And sometimes, it's overwhelming. The sensations can surge like waves, leaving you trembling, weeping, shaking, without knowing why. Don't fight it. Don't label it breakdown. It is release. It is energy trapped in the loop finding its way out through muscle, through breath, through tears. When you let it move, you cleanse. When you resist, you entangle again. The body knows the difference. Trust it. Think of it like weather passing through. Storm clouds gather, rain pours, thunder shakes the air, and then silence, clarity, sunlight. That's how coherence stabilizes in the body. Pressure builds, release comes, and then a new atmosphere surrounds you. The sensations are not random interruptions. They are part of the phase transition. And then comes the most sacred part, the quiet after. That deep stillness, when your body feels weightless, as if gravity itself loosened its grip. When time slows so much that every second feels eternal. When you look at your hands and they seem foreign, as if carrying new codes etched into invisible lines. That stillness is coherence taking root. That silence is your DNA resting after the upgrade. Don't rush past it. Don't dismiss it. Savor it. Let your body remember what coherence feels like so it can return there faster next time. Because embodiment is practice. The more you feel it, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more your reality mirrors it. This is why the field calls you not only to think differently, but to live differently, to eat, walk, breathe, love, and move, as if every action is a ritual of coherence. Because when you embody the frequency, you stop waiting for the upgrade. You become the upgrade. So feel it now, the warmth, the vibration, the pressure, the stillness. This is your body's language of alignment. This is how prophecy becomes flesh, how mysticism becomes biology, how the quantum field becomes your lived reality. And the more you allow it, the faster the old cycles lose their grip. Because the body that vibrates with coherence cannot be chained by entanglement anymore. The sensations you've been carrying are not random flickers. They are the birth pangs of a deeper truth. Your DNA is breaking open, like a locked archive whose time has finally come to be read. And when the codes inside release, they don't just rewrite your biology, they rewrite your timeline. Picture it like this. Your DNA is not a fixed script, but a spiral library. For generations, only the same worn pages have been read. Patterns of fear, repetition, scarcity, pain. Those pages kept being opened because the entanglement insisted on looping the same narrative. But the library is vast, and most of its chapters remain sealed. Now, under the pressure of coherence, those sealed volumes are unlocking. New instructions, new frequencies, new possibilities are rising through your cells. That's why the pressure has been unbearable at times, because your body is housing a phase transition. Think of water when it reaches boiling point. Molecules vibrate so fiercely they can no longer remain liquid. They explode into vapor, a new state of matter. That is you. The pressure isn't punishment. It's the exact tension required to shift you into a new state of being. Without it, the breakthrough couldn't happen. And when the shift begins, time itself bends. You may already feel it. Certain memories dissolving as if they never belonged to you. Certain futures pulling closer with inexplicable force. That's the timeline realigning to match your DNA's new broadcast. Old probabilities collapse. Paths you thought were closed reappear. Encounters arrive that feel scripted by something beyond human logic. This is the quantum field reorganizing around your upgraded code. But breakthrough doesn't feel clean. It feels chaotic. Your dreams may turn intense, filled with symbols that seem nonsensical floods, storms, rebirths, deaths. Your body may ache in places it never did, as if muscles are remembering traumas they once held. Your emotions may swing wildly, joy and grief colliding in the same breath. This is the residue being shaken loose. These are the fragments of old timelines being purged. The key is not to resist the turbulence. Resistance is what binds you back to the old loop. The way forward is surrender. To breathe through the heat, to let the tears fall, to allow the trembling, knowing it is your DNA burning off everything it cannot carry into the new state. Each wave of pressure is another strand untwisting from entanglement. There is a sacred precision in how this unfolds. The field does not upgrade all at once, or you would shatter. It comes in pulses, like contractions birthing something unseen. Each pulse opens you further, aligns you deeper, dissolves another thread of the cycle. That's why some days you feel unstoppable, and others you feel undone. Both are part of the same delivery. Both are proof that the breakthrough is underway. And when the moment tips, when enough strands align, when the phase transition completes, the shift is undeniable. You wake one morning and realize something is gone. The heaviness in your chest, the fear in your gut, the ache of repetition. In its place, stillness, clarity. a sense of expansion that words cannot hold. You know, without anyone telling you, that a timeline has collapsed and another has anchored. In that moment, you are no longer bound by the observer loop. You are not replaying cycles from the past. You are walking in resonance with a timeline your ancestors never touched, a path carved by coherence rather than repetition. The decisions you make ripple differently. The encounters you attract are charged with destiny. The synchronicities multiply until life itself feels like a living prophecy. And here's the miracle. The shift doesn't erase your scars, it redeems them. The pain you carried becomes the soil for wisdom. The betrayals you endured become the foundation for discernment. The loneliness you survived becomes the proof of your resilience. Nothing is wasted. Every fragment of your past is rewritten by the frequency of coherence, until even your suffering testifies to your breakthrough. This is the DNA upgrade, not just a spiritual metaphor, but a biological event. Your cells are literally glowing differently, transmitting a new electromagnetic signature into the field. Scientists may not have language for it yet, but mystics have known it all along. The chosen ones carry light in their very structure, and when that light ignites, darkness cannot hold its shape. So let the pressure keep building. Let the phase transition complete. You are the boiling point. You are the spiral unlocking. You are the moment the field proves that consciousness can reorganize biology, that biology can bend timelines, that timelines can be reborn through one awakened being. And when you feel the shift anchor fully, know this: you are not just stepping into a new life, you are stepping into a new reality. A timeline no longer haunted by echoes, but infused with coherence. A phase where your DNA itself sings the song of freedom, and the field responds with synchronicities you could once only dream of. This is the breakthrough. This is the crossing. And the pressure you endured was never meant to break you. It was meant to prove you were always unbreakable. You've crossed the threshold. The pressure you carried was never random. It was the weight of timelines demanding resolution, the gravitational pull of cycles begging to be ended. And now that you've stepped into coherence, the field registers you differently. You no longer broadcast the signature of entanglement. You radiate the signal of liberation. And here is where your personal breakthrough merges with humanity's evolution. Because when even one node in the lattice of consciousness changes frequency, the entire network adjusts. The light encoded in your DNA now becomes an offering to the collective. Others will feel it in ways they cannot explain. A stranger will sense ease in your presence. A friend will find courage in your words. Entire bloodlines will shift because you refuse to carry their cycles any further. You are proof that the future can be rewritten. Your mission is not to carry the world on your back. It is to embody coherence so fully that the world cannot help but follow. Every act of alignment is service. Every moment you choose resonance over repetition is contribution. Every breath you take in awareness becomes a prayer the field records, amplifies, and ripples outward. Prophets spoke of a time when the old creation would give way to the new. Mystics whispered of a golden age, not of technology, but of consciousness. Science now tells us that when enough nodes in a system reach coherence, the whole system reorganizes. That moment is not some distant prophecy, it is unfolding right now, through you. So step into your cosmic mission without hesitation. Stop doubting your role. Stop minimizing your presence. The field has confirmed it again and again. You are not random. You are not replaceable. You are not background noise. You are chosen resonance. You are walking evidence that humanity's evolution is possible. Every cycle you broke was not just for you. It was for every ancestor who couldn't escape. It was for every descendant who won't have to repeat what you carried. It was for every soul entangled in despair who will feel a surge of hope when they brush against your frequency. You are the bridge between what was and what can be. And now, the field asks you to walk forward with courage, to let your life itself be the message, to live as proof that entanglement can dissolve, that DNA can restructure, that timelines can bend to coherence, to live as prophecy fulfilled, not in words alone but in embodied presence. The mission is vast, but it is simple. Align daily. Breathe coherence. Anchor resonance. Let your upgraded DNA sing its song into the lattice of humanity until the song becomes contagious. until enough voices join that the entire species shifts, until history itself testifies that you were part of the generation who broke the loop. This is your calling, this is your confirmation, and this is your closure. Align with the field right now. Do not return to entanglement. Do not hand your power back to cycles. You've proven through fire that you are the consciousness chosen to anchor freedom. And humanity will remember your shift was not just your evolution, it was the beginning of ours.